Okay, we are live. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. And I guess we've got a lot to talk about tonight. How do we process what happened yesterday? I mean, yesterday was one of those matches. Even though we won, and even though we're into the FA Cup final, it's difficult to feel any real sense of joy or any real sense of pride about what happened yesterday, because we were 3-0 up against the team that were 8th placed in the championship. We are not even in a playoff spot at this moment in time, and we managed to throw away a 3-goal lead. And it's very hard to contextualize that. It's very hard to talk about that, and it's very hard to process really what happened. Where do you even begin to analyze that? Do you look at the manager? Do you look at the players? Do you look at everything? I think you got to look at everything, really, to be fair. But I think it's going to come down to looking at the manager as well. And the reason I said that there is because we know this squad clear out is coming. We know that we are going to be moving players on. We know that we are going to be having a big clear out in this summer transfer window. And I know that we all want to see a level of player accountability within Manchester United Football Club for the first time in a really long time. And that's really good. We want that there. But I think that's got to extend beyond that to the manager as well, because yesterday just wasn't acceptable. And some of the stories coming out right now are very, very interesting. We will of course go through them all, but I think really one of the main things that's really getting to me at this point in time is the fact that if we look back at the quotes come out from our manager, he said it's not an embarrassment, it's an achievement. And I think that's just kind of blindly trying to spin anything into a positive, but there's no positives to take from yesterday. You know, there is absolutely no positives that we can take from that walk. We scored 3 goals against Coventry City. We would have been expected to do that. We conceded 3 goals. We should have won that match 3-0 or even more, ideally, but we didn't. Ronnie Wilson down there, manager, has to go. He's the last plat, bringing off the best midfielder in the winger, get him up before the final. Ronnie, man, I really can't see a future for the guy. I really can't. I guess we will also get talking about Thomas Tuchel as well later on the show, because that's a link that's growing in the last couple of days. And as well as that, we do have an interesting article that has come out from Jim Stucker of the Telegraph, really shedding some more light and potential new names that maybe we hadn't quite thought about for that managerial role should a change come. But really, I think all we have to do, really, to sum up to yesterday's match, to sum up that semi-final, all we have to think of is 3-0 up after 70 minutes, 3-3 after full time. We should have lost that 4-3 because Coventry had the narrowest of narrow offsides the VAR overruled. And that was the difference between them winning that match and United going through on penalties. Now, ultimately, yeah, okay, we won. But even some of the reaction of those players was so embarrassing. We've seen Anthony running in front of the Coventry players, cupping his ear as if he was in the World Cup final. We won on a penalty shootout after leading 3-0 against a team in the 2nd division who are 8th place in that league. Like, it's beyond shameless, it's beyond embarrassing, it's just, I just don't know, guys. I really don't know where we can really start to even begin to describe yesterday's match. I guess what we can start to do is look at different options, because I've been hinting at it for a while, I've been thinking about it for a while. I can't see a future for Erik Ten Hag at this football club. I think he's got 6 matches left in his managerial career at Manchester United. He'll have the FA Cup final, and he will have those 5 matches in the league. That will be it. We play Sheffield United on Wednesday. There's no guarantee of anything going our way in that match. There is no guarantee whatsoever, and I think 1 win in the last 5 in the league. We got that embarrassment yesterday against Coventry. It's just been abjectly one of the worst seasons in the history of Manchester United Football Club since the Premier League began. Look, obviously, you know, we've had years where we've got relegated. We've had a lot of hard times for Manchester United. But in the Premier League era, this has been one of the very worst seasons that we've ever had. This is as bad as that Ralph Rangnick season. It really is. Big ups to Le Man for joining in. Thanks for joining in with us, guys, tonight. Obviously, look, I know the channel has been a little bit inactive in the last couple of weeks. I do apologise for that there, but we're getting everything back on track now. Le Man wants anything but Eric, and I guess that takes us on to Thomas Tuchel. Now, this came from Kicker. Kicker are a German newspaper, a German publication, and they basically said that United had been sniffing around Thomas Tuchel, who is set to leave Bayern Munich in the summer. Could he be the man that INEOS look to bring in, potentially. And I think whenever we run through some of the credentials and some of the reasons why, I think there's a lot of potential points that might make sense in terms of what INEOS want to do and why they might think Thomas Tuchel is a good fit for that there. Firstly, they want a coach. Tuchel is a very good coach. Secondly, they are taking over recruitment style and taking over that part of the football club. That is something that Thomas Tuchel has historically struggled with. He seems to have had a very bad career in terms of picking big moves that haven't worked out. Going to Chelsea, yeah, he won a Champions League there, but he ended up in the Bowley era and got sacked. PSG was an absolute mess when he signed there. He had big problems with Leonardo, the sporting director, and he ultimately left there as well. At Borussia Dortmund, there was an issue, I believe, over an attempted attack on the Dortmund bus. That was part of his decision to leave them. But if we go back and really start to drill down into it, Thomas Tuchel's a man who came to English football, won a Champions League, and got into every cup final that he was in. Chelsea were a stable team under his tenureship. Now, do I think he's the most exciting option out there? No, I really don't. Would I take him over Gareth Southgate? Absolutely. Do I think that there could be different options we go for? Yes, absolutely. Again, and there are definitely other managers that we're looking at. And I think when we look into some of the good sources coming out at this moment in time, some of the stuff they're saying, I think you could start to see a little bit of a short list starting to appear. That explains the rush to get Jason Wilcox. That explains the rush to get Barad in. That explains the stepping up in the talks for Dan Ashworth, because they need these guys in to make a call on the manager. That's what I think this is about. If this was transfers, a lot of what they're going to be doing in terms of summer transfers is already within the club. We're looking at getting the head of recruitment from Ipswich Town in. That could be another addition to that transfer cabinet. But we have the facilities in the club at this moment in time to do the transfer window. I think the managerial appointment is maybe a bigger one yet, and that is why we're starting to see a little bit of a rush with that there. That is why we're starting to see United really pushing for it. Now, like, Jim Stucker's done an interesting article in the last couple of minutes, and I will go through that there. And there was some names linked that I think are definitely worth us discussing as well. Namely, United believe there are some very interesting and talented coaches working in Europe, such as Bologna's Thiago Motta, Michel at Girona, Brighton's Roberto De Zerbi, Liverpool target Ruben Amorim of Sporting Lisbon, on top of Graham Potter, on top of Thomas Tuchel. These are all potential people we could be looking at. These are all potential managerial appointments. And look, make no mistake about it, according to the Telegraph, according to the very reliable Jim Stucker, Erik Ten Hag is on trial right now. It's not that he is, not like he has been for the last couple of months, where it's a case that he's auditioning for the job. He is on trial right now to keep his job as Manchester United. There's definitely a shift in the emphasis of the club. There's definitely a shift in what the story and the atmosphere coming out is, and we're starting to see player links and player leaks coming out as well in the last couple of minutes, in the last couple of hours. We are seeing talk about a fallout between Bruno Fernandes and Rasmus Højlund. We are seeing issues with Erik Ten Hag ripping into the players after the match. We are seeing question marks about some of the big names in this team, the Marcus Rashfords, the Casemiros, their long-term future. What is it going to be? These are all things that are starting to emerge at this moment in time. As Chris Wheeler said this, Ten Hag is said to have torn into the dressing room after they lost their 3-0 lead to Coventry, furious that we allowed another game that was under our control to get away from him. However, Jason Wilcox is expected to closely appraise Ten Hag's training sessions over the coming weeks. He is there. He was there at the weekend. He is now a Manchester United employee. We've got that done. And he will be holding extensive talks with the manager, with the staff, with the players during this analysis. So make no mistake about it, the trial of Ten Hag is on. And it's happening quick and fast right now, so there's no doubt about it. Ronnie's down there. He needs to hold his ear to United fans. He heard them saying, get the hell out. Rajat's down there, get Flick or Zizou. What's up, buddy? Club is going to build structure. It should be Ten Hag or someone else who's going to come. Goal is calling Xerxes at Bologna, Ronaldinho. Yeah, I wouldn't be so bothered about goal. I think Xerxes is a really good player, but not. I don't know if it'll happen this year. Jarl is on there. It does sound like Ashworth will not be here until another 1.5 years. Will Wilcox be acting director of football? The way I can see it going, Jarl, is honestly, I think we'll get this deal done for Ashworth. I don't know if it's going to take place this summer, but I think you're looking at 12 months potentially before the guy starts at this moment. They might be able to get it down to a 2025 start, maybe at the best case scenario. But they do feel like within Jason Wilcox, Omar Barada, within this other guy we're getting from Ipswich Town, let me pull up his name, as recruitment head, that we might have enough to get by for now. It's not ideal, it's not what we really want, but it is where we are at this moment in time. Let me pull that up. Think that was United spitting up the arrival of Ipswich Town head of recruitment Sam Williams. They have now completed a deal, and Williams will join within the next month. Williams will arrive as the emerging talent chief, so that will be in terms of our recruitment. That's more people being brought in for that there. Jarl is down there, so Jim must have really insulted Newcastle when he was meeting with them. I don't know. I feel like he will probably still get his way. I've no doubt about that, to be honest. I think we'll get the guy in, but we'll see how it goes. Honestly, we will just have to see how it goes in the next couple of weeks and months. But I can't see an immediate start date for Dan Ashworth on the horizon. I really can't, and I would be surprised, really and truly, if that was what happened. But look, I think we're at that point now where there are enough good people in the club, and enough people who have come in the last couple of weeks who can get by in the short term, and maybe long term we will need the Ashworth figure to come in and lead the sporting department. That's why we want him. And I do think that we're feeling the pressure from that at the minute. I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe did a pretty interesting interview yesterday. It was after the London Marathon that he did run as well. He said fans are going to have to be patient as well. He said it's a long journey. Fans are impatient, and I have sympathy with that. It's a journey, and people, whether they like it or not, might have to be patient. We've been talking a lot about gardening leave, and we've got all these guys coming into the team, capable guys, but they're all on gardening leave. So it will take 6 months, a year, 18 months before we really get going, and it's a real issue in football at the minute. So it's one of those. It's like Newcastle are possibly indirectly spoiling the entire executive market of the footballing world with these extortionate demands for Dan Ashworth, with these extortionate gardening leaves as well. These are potential issues, might crop up over and over again. So it'll be an interesting one to see how that develops. But it's important that we get these guys in. I feel like we're starting to get some of them in. We just need more at this moment in time. Born is down there. Hi, man. You disappeared. Everything okay? Yeah, everything good. Everything's good now, man. Don't worry. Back to full-time content, thankfully. Just had a rough couple of weeks with work and everything else going on, but all good. Thanks. Thanks for asking, buddy. Do appreciate it. And yeah, look, we got some serious work to do on the channel anyway. Gotta get things growing again, because we've been sitting pretty still for the last 6 months or so, really. Got a lot of work to do and a lot of thinking to do about what we're gonna do with the channel, but we'll do something big anyway. Rosetta's on there. We need 3 or 4 centre halves. I wouldn't disagree with that, buddy. We went into semi-final of an FA Cup with 1 centre half, and that was Harry Maguire, who might be leaving. There's big question marks about Lisandro Martinez long term. Will he come back from these injury problems? Can he come back and be the same player? Varane's probably going to leave in the next month or so. Lindelof hasn't been first choice all season, and there's talk about him potentially going. You also have Johnny Evans, 36, 37 soon. Then you got Kambuala, who's looked good at times, but I mean, he still has big issues, and still probably needs a loan move really to develop into a proper centre half. So there's a lot of work to be done in that area, and it's going to be an absolutely key one. I actually have something in the works on that. I was writing out a video plan for that there. The importance of us overhauling those centre half areas, so important that we do that. Jarl said, good news, Palmer and Gusto are out for Chelsea, which means they'll have a very hard time to beat Arsenal and will not catch us yet. Is that match tonight, Jarl, is it? I don't know if it is or not. I know we play Sheffield United on Wednesday. I would say I'm looking forward to it. I don't know about it, but I mean, I guess we can look and maybe have some optimism. We do have talk about youth debuts coming up as well within the league. That was something talked about by a couple of different sources, saying that perhaps you could see Harry Amas, or you could see Shea Lacey potentially given a debut, or just to be included in the first team before the end of the season. I feel like this is the time to do it. We play Sheffield, we play Burnley, both at home in the next two matches. So I think that will definitely be a time to bleed some young players in if we can do it. Because look, we got nothing to play for in the league. Absolutely, we have nothing worth playing for in the Premier League at the minute. There won't be a fifth place for Champions League. We won't get fifth place either way. I think at the minute we're seventh. We've got 50 points. And like the next two matches we play Sheffield and Burnley. Why not? Why not play those younger players in those matches and just give them a run out? Maybe Burnley Saturday could be an interesting one for that. Man Utd down there. I would like Julian Nagelsmann or Hansi Flick. I like Hansi Flick as well. I think he did well at Bayern Munich in terms of turning things around there. I don't think he's maybe the long-term kind of guy. I don't think he's really the person I would bring in for that one. I think Nagelsmann's the long-term project or the long-term vision, but he has signed that deal at Germany to stay on there until 2026, because he would have been very high on my priorities list. And if we could have got him, I would have been so happy to do that there. I really think Nagelsmann would have been a brilliant option for us to bring him. But I mean, Flick, I like him in terms of what he did at Bayern Munich. I like the desire to win that he brought back to the club as well, and those standards, but I don't think he's going to be the long-term guy for us. Big ups to Hot Fuzz as well. Good to see you, buddy. Akmal is down there. Ten Hag out. An interesting one with Ten Hag. It really is, guys. I've been very reluctant to say that, to scream from the headlines and scream from the rooftops, Erik Ten Hag out, get him out of my club, or to sit and defend him here without rhyme or reason or complete blind faith. I think it's got to the point now where I think he's done. I think he's gone. I think he will be gone. I don't think you see these talks about managers going on trial, about managers having to audition for their job. I don't think you see any of that if he has job security. And I just don't think he does at this moment in time. And he can't do it either. Matata is down there. When you're in a burning car, you think of getting something out rather than thinking about another mode of transport. It's one of those, but Rajad said Zizou will sign with Bayern Munich or PSG. I don't know, man. Like, he hasn't really had a big appetite really to go back into management, especially since he left Real Madrid for the second time. He never really got back into it. So I don't know what's going to happen with Zidane. I don't think he's going to be our guy anyway. And I've got no belief in Zinedine Zidane. The reason I say that there is because not that his track record doesn't speak for itself, because it does, but he's got no evidence whatsoever of being able to take a club from the position that we are in right now to where we want to be as a footballing institution. And yeah, look, he'll have help. Obviously, we'll have a very good team of people bringing in, and hopefully within the next 6, 12, 18 months, as Radcliffe says, we can have everything in place that we want for the long term. But I don't know if Zidane's going to be the guy who we bring in at this point, to be honest. Let me see. Matata is down there. Getting rid of Ten Hag is easier than getting rid of the players. I think, yeah, it's like I've been saying for a long time, guys. People get it very twisted in their heads. They think if you're pro Ten Hag, then you are anti-players, or if you're anti-players, then you're pro Ten Hag. I think you can be both, and I would definitely put myself into the category of being in both. I think there's so many players on that team. A, not good enough. B, need to go, or C, need to seriously improve within the next 12 months or so. And I think we got big calls to make on a lot of those players. And I think, yeah, they absolutely shouldn't be free or safe from any of this criticism. We were looking at your Casemiro stepping up to take first penalty, hitting an absolute shocker in an FA Cup semi-final, having a very poor game as well. I know he's a centre-half, but even still, that's one example. You got, I think Bruno was actually pretty good against Coventry yesterday, but Rashford didn't have a good game. He had a poor game out of Anthony when he came on. Then the antics and the attitude of Anthony to try stick it up a load of Coventry players just wasn't it. Højlund had a poor match. We've got players constantly injured, players constantly pulling out of squads and constantly underperforming. So that has to be brought into perspective as well. But I do agree with what Matata says. We can't just say, let's just bin off all the players and let's just keep the manager, because I think you have to move the manager on at this point. I think he's done. I've thought for a while that he's done. I think that we've been asking for a while, can he save himself? I think the answer is a firm and square no. Now, we do have a little bit of news from Jamie Jackson. Ten Hag remains safe as manager until the end of the season, with United having no intent to remove him despite the increased pressure following Sunday's match against Coventry. I wouldn't expect us to sack him at this point. I really wouldn't expect him to sack him because he's got 6 matches in the league. He's got 1 match in the FA Cup final. I don't think we win the FA Cup regardless. I don't know how many of those league matches we're going to win, but it doesn't really matter. There's going to be no Champions League this season, probably not going to be Europa League, possibly not even be Conference League. So does it really matter at this point in time? I don't know. Like, I really don't. I think you're at that point now where you can just give some young players some first-team experience and see how they do, because there's just nothing there. There's just nothing worth playing for at this moment in time. And it's interesting, the parallels between this season and that last season under Louis van Gaal, they're getting stronger every single week. They really are. Horrid football, some of the worst we've ever seen in the post-Fergie era. Getting to an FA Cup final, Dutch manager potentially getting sacked 2 years into a 3-year deal. That's kind of the position we find ourselves in. Rashad said, would you take an interim coach till June? Look at Jose, he's calling out the players he wanted to go on as kind of a joke. Yeah, it's one of those. It is. I don't know what the long-term plan's going to be with the managerial appointments, but I don't know. We're going to see what happens. I don't think we make a change before the end of the season. We might see something in June when the season's done. I think we've got to be quick, though. I think that's why Tuchel has been linked, because that's a deal you can get done quickly. You've got a manager there leaving Bayern Munich, going to mutually part ways. He will be available. He will be there to start, and you can bring him in right at the end of the season. That might be what they're thinking. I mean, you look at Nagelsmann. For as good as Nagelsmann is, and as much as I think that he would be the best option we could bring in as our potential manager, there's also the real possibility of his Germany team doing well in the European Championships, which means he wouldn't be available until mid-July. And that's when we need to be in pre-season anyway. So you can't really have a manager coming in at that point. It didn't work out overly well when Louis van Gaal was the manager. I can't see that working out too well for us now. I think we've got to be smart with it. And I think we will. I think we'll try to be smart with it. Let's just hope that we can be, though. What have I got? Yarlow's on there. Liverpool fans are so worried that the chosen one was watching their game. Edwards cannot possibly think of hiring him. No, they won't bring in Jose Mourinho. Don't worry about that. Any Liverpool fans out there, I don't think they're too concerned about that. I think they have to be concerned about West Ham potentially getting Ruben Amorim, according to reports, and that could be an absolutely fantastic appointment if you're West Ham United. Rajat's down there. United are not going to win the FA Cup. I don't think so, man. I would be surprised if it did or not, but we live in hope that maybe we can turn up on the day. But I think regardless of what happens, I think we have to take the point of view that if we're thinking about sacking Erik Ten Hag, or if we're looking to get a new manager, even if we win the FA Cup, you can't change your mind, because it shouldn't change it. It really shouldn't. Now, look, we've got an interesting story here about Rasmus Højlund, and this is something we've been questioning for a while. It's a lack of service going to Højlund. Now, there's a story came out, I believe it was from Chris Wheeler, speaking about it. According to a report, earlier this season, Højlund filed a complaint against Bruno Fernandes, feeling that the club captain was deliberately ignoring him on the pitch. Højlund had gone through a serious goal drought domestically. Reportedly, Højlund fell out with right-back Diogo Dalot during a 4-3 Champions League loss away to Copenhagen in November after Lucas Leriger scored a late equaliser. Bruno Fernandes apparently sided with Diogo Dalot. Now, there was something else, don't know why that's just updated there. Apparently United have solved the issue. When Højlund raised the concerns with the coaches, he was reportedly told to address them directly with Dalot, rather than having the disagreement mediated through coaches themselves. It was only when they put it behind them that Bruno Fernandes also made his peace with Højlund, and the harmony was restored within the team. Now, look, there's concerns about Højlund. I think on one hand, he is probably under-delivered in terms of what we expected of him this season. I still think that if he got 13... I think he's on 13 goals now. I'd said 15 goals this season wouldn't be a bad return in his first season. But I think in terms of what he offers on the ball, in terms of what he does with it, I think he's got to improve. Yes, he's got a chronic lack of service. I think he's had 30-something shots in the league all season. Other strikers might have 30 shots in a month. They might have 5 opportunities in a match. Højlund might have 1 every other match. But in terms of what he does when he gets the ball, I do think he needs to shape up and improve on that side. I've no worries about him. I've no concerns about him. I really don't, but I think that maybe you have to look towards that there. But it's an interesting one because we've sensed all season there's maybe been issues within the squad. You look at Højlund receiving 1 pass a game from Antony and Garnacho combined, or even when Rashford's playing, not getting a lot of service. I do think there's disharmony in that team at this moment in time. Born is saying, I thought Nagelsmann signing a deal with Germany Federation. He did, but yeah, that's what I mean. He signed that new deal with Germany. He's also potentially would have been away until mid-July. So as much as I like Julian Nagelsmann, maybe not right now, but he's so young, he could be United manager someday. Rosette says, United still looking at Branthwaite and Todibo. They could be. I think they'll look at Branthwaite as option 1. And the reason I say that is because he seems to tick every box, but the one questionable one is, of course, going to be the price tag, because I don't think we want to pay 65-70 million for him. Now, if we go out, it's like I said a couple of weeks ago, if we go out and sign Branthwaite and then sign Tuchel at a Rabiot on a free transfer, then maybe you can excuse paying more for Branthwaite, because you've basically got 2 centre-backs in there for 60 million, which isn't too bad in that sense. But we're going to have to manage the finances accordingly. Rosette said probably doesn't make himself available enough to receive the ball. Going to have to watch anyway, man. I'm going to have to look at all the different actions of Højlund this season, really in depth, maybe. CR7 himself is down below, looking Mourinho and Zidane. I mean, that could be a lot of trophies they would bring to Old Trafford. Now, how much they'll actually win here, it's a different question altogether, of course. But it's an interesting one anyway. Look, on that poll, most people are saying Tuchel, not for me. A fair few, almost 40%, are saying he would be a good option. I don't know though. I don't know. I think Tuchel's not a bad option. I think he's probably been an unlucky manager in a lot of senses. And the reason that I would say that there is because he's had big fallouts at every club he's been at, and a lot of them, genuinely, I would say, are probably not his fault. And I want to go through this interesting tweet I seen earlier. I want to go through this here. At Borussia Dortmund, he fell out with Watzke over the lack of support over a potential attack on the bus with bombs, trying to kill the squad. Watzke shrugged and told him he was letting UEFA reschedule it 1 day later. At PSG, he fell out with Leonardo because Leonardo was a big ego at the club and wouldn't accept any advice. As a result, Leonardo sacked him, and then Leonardo was sacked himself after it was found that he was absolutely underqualified for his job. At Chelsea, sacked by the top bully regime, notable high-performing casualties as well, among plenty of others. He took a struggling and flawed side and won the Champions League. And in the last 10 seasons, Chelsea have only beaten Tuchel's point tally 3 times, and all of which were league-winning campaigns. Bayern Munich, he took over a sinking ship that already had claimed Julian Nagelsmann. Bayern Munich have been in a decline, and both on and off the pitch since the treble-winning season. The squad is stale, and the sporting director has been sacked already afterwards. More or less, their entire executive board has been sacked and replaced, and they're going through a massive shift and rebuild as well. So I feel like he's been unlucky. I do feel like there's a good coach in Tuchel, and I feel like there is a reason he gets these top jobs. Now, whether or not he's going to be the man for Manchester United long term, I'm not too sure. I think he brings a lot of experience. I think he's a good coach who would bring a system. He's a flawed coach. He does still have his issues. One of those is his recruitment and his eye for talent can be very questionable sometimes in the players he directs clubs to sign. That mightn't be an issue here, because if it's his weakness, then United are likely to take over that point of view anyway. We're bringing a lot of top people in to make all these big footballing calls. They're not going to delegate that to the manager anymore. So maybe that goes beyond that there, and you then have a situation where you have a head coach whose job it is to coach the team and make them win on the pitch, not to worry about contracts and transfers and who comes and who goes and stuff like we have had for the longest time here. And I think that could be important for us. I got comments. Bart is down there. Hi, Bart. I was surprised I wasn't watch long. Yeah, buddy. I was just watching the match myself. Honestly, I think it came to like Sunday and I was like, right, well, I've been pretty inactive this week. I can either do a watch along now, or I can hop on tomorrow and start fresh next week, and that's what we chose to do. So I think that's what we'll be going with. Bart is down there. Radcliffe ran the London Marathon yesterday morning and was all warmed up. He should have gotten some game time for going the extra mile. He could have. I mean, he's 6'5". We could have done with him at centre back. To be honest, he probably outran a lot of our players yesterday. Dark Crow is down there as well. I'm sure Radcliffe would have done better in game management than Erik after the 3-0 lead. It's just funny, man, because a lot of the subs I wouldn't have blamed Erik Ten Hag for making, and I've questioned his in-game management at times. But putting players on who specialise, so to speak, in retaining the ball, only then to have less control than what we did in the first place, a bit of a funny one. A little bit of a funny one. And other people will be out there putting the blame onto one or two players' fate. The truth is, it was across the board. It was very poor, especially with those subs. It really was. After they came on, we lost all control. We just started launching the ball along. There was no plan, no cohesion, no ideas out there in the pitch. And look, make no mistake about it, it was embarrassing. And I think it's embarrassing that the manager is out here now telling us that yesterday was an achievement, not an embarrassment, to lose a 3-goal lead against a team who are 8th placed in the championship. So they're a whole division below us. They're not even the playoff spots at the minute, our Coventry City. And somehow we found ourselves dropping points. Now, yeah, not dropping points, but like dropping that lead. A 3-goal lead with 20 minutes left. It was pitiful. It really, really was pitiful. No ifs, no buts, no maybes about it. They had far too much opportunities yesterday, and even if we look at Coventry, their form in the last couple of weeks and months has been pretty poor. Yes, they were beat by Southampton. They beat Leeds. Yes, that was a good result, but they lost to Coventry. Sorry, they lost to Cardiff. They lost as well to Watford. They've lost to West Brom, to Preston in recent weeks. So this isn't a team that's high flying. This isn't like Leicester City, who essentially will be a Premier League team in a couple of weeks' time, or potentially Ipswich or Leeds United. This is a team that is sitting in 8th position in the Championship, a team who are really being pushed hard to try finish in the top 7 in the Championship at this moment in time, and it's not good enough, from the United point of view. Coventry, 8th place at the minute. They've lost 3 out of their last 5 in the league. We should be doing a hell of a lot better than what we did yesterday. And the fact that we threw that lead away was nothing short of an embarrassment, guys. Really wasn't. Dark Row, I'm a fan of pre-match and post-match interviews. Not really. I don't really read too much into what Ten Hag says in his interviews. I never really look too much into what any managers say, unless there's something that really jumps out, because they will give you a public story. They will give you I thought we played quite well, we were unlucky, or we worked hard today, or whatever. They'll give you the generic responses. You very rarely get box office articles, or box office interview quotes and stuff. I think the one that really stands out from yesterday was Ten Hag saying it wasn't an embarrassment, it was an achievement. And from my point of view, I think looking at it, I know what he's doing. I know why he said what he said. But I think it's just the lack of awareness to say it in the first place. He wanted to put a positive spin out there, but some things just can't be spun. Some things just cannot be twisted into a good light, and some things just cannot be made into a positive. And yesterday, losing a 3-goal lead, almost losing the match to Coventry City, 8th place in the Championship, there's no way to spin it. There's no way to put that as a good thing. And you see some fan accounts out there on Twitter or whatnot who are very, very pro Ten Hag, even questioning his own quotes, and they're asking questions about it. Now you might get one or two say, yeah, look, it's our 3rd cup final in 2 seasons. It's another trip to Wembley. We're a match away from beating Man City. I just can't see us doing it. Like, I don't want to be negative, but I just would be surprised if we beat City in the FA Cup final. I really would be. City will be there. They'll be turning it on, and they'll definitely be up for that match. I've got quotes coming in from some of you guys. Which actually, watch Big Steve react to Real Madrid beating them with penalty kicks. No coach can trust these players. You trust Rashi. it's one of those. It's yeah. I mean, I do feel like most managers will struggle with what some of these players have, but it's one of those. It's like we know we got players capable of throwing stuff away, being really stupid on the ball. We shouldn't be giving them opportunities, and we should handle games and manage games in such a way that we avoid that. There, Bourne said there's definitely something wrong internally. Professional players like Casemiro look lost and unmotivated. I mean, I think Casemiro was gone, man. I really do. I think we're going to I think we'll be selling him in the summer. No ifs about that there. I think that's something we have to do at this point. Rashad said Maguire, Lindelof, McTominay have to leave. Yeah, I would add them to the sell list. Maybe that's something we can do. I can get a whiteboard or something behind me. We can go through it on stream. Because I do have... I got a green screen here that I need to figure out how to use. I got a lapel mic so I can like kind of move about his stuff as well. So that'd be fun. So I'll definitely be adding some of that in. Anyway, look, got some transfer stuff I want to quickly run through from Fabrizio Romano. The interest in Brantford is there. They're waiting to hear evaluation and make their decision based upon that. I think that's what it comes down to. It's going to come down with sheer evaluation for Brantford. No doubting the player, no doubting the talent and the ability and the desire for us to bring him in, the need for us to bring him in. It's just going to be whether or not it's going to outprice us, because we've got a lot of work to do this summer. We can't go spending the entire budget on Jared Brantford. As good as he is, there might be better options or more cost-effective options out there for the money potentially quoted. I think anything under £60 million, we do it. I think if they're looking 70 plus million, then I think we're not going to do that deal, to be honest. I would be surprised if we do. Anyway, look, guys, in terms of our poll tonight, most people are starting to sweat towards Thomas Tuchel. Maybe it's my little piece on him there where I was just describing some of the unfortunate situations he's found himself in. Maybe it's just a bad bit of career planning. I don't know about that there. What else have we got? Apparently, United's expected points puts us 15th in the Premier League. And that's kind of horrendous. I'll hope not. Are Chelsea playing? Or is Arsenal playing tonight? Oh, but that's under 21. I was going to say, because I've just seen Urian Timber scored a goal for Arsenal, but turns out it's just turns out it's I think it's a 21s match there anyway. Look, there's talk about Josh Zirkzee. I think that's an interesting potential signing. I do actually have a video coming out on Zirkzee pretty soon. I think that could be a really good signing for us to bring in. Different profile. He is young, he is quick, but he's very good on the ball as well. His movement is very good, and he brings others in so well, which could help the likes of Garnacho or Marcus Rashford if they're kept on this season, which we imagine they will be. I don't think there's very many people out there who seriously think Rashford's going to get sold this year. I would be surprised if that happens. Like, stranger things have happened, but I would be surprised if that's a deal that gets done by Manchester United. But yeah, Xerxes an interesting one. Keep an eye out on Thiago Motta as well. His Bologna team's doing very, very well in Serie A. Maybe not the most exciting of watches all the time. I think that comes down to player quality as well, that he has got at his disposal. They can carry out his system, but maybe they don't score as much goals as you maybe would want. Rajad, Duga, Xerxes, Boniface, or Sesko, not sure what to do. Yeah, I mean, they're all good options, and they're all different players as well. I can't see us getting Boniface, to be honest. I think Xerxes probably the most realistic one to get out of Bologna. I think Sesko could be a good option. It just depends on what happens with RB Leipzig as well. It's not been the best of season from their point of view, but will they look to overhaul? Will they try to move him on? I'm not too sure. It's going to come down to prices and valuations and stuff, because we got a lot of work to do this summer. I think we need 2 centre backs. I think we need a left back. I think we need a number 6. I think that we need a striker, yeah, and I think we also need a right winger. So you're looking at 6 players there. And yeah, you can make the case for more. You can make the case for a 3rd centre back or a right back, or you can make another case to bring in more people as well. But I don't know, guys. Like I really think that we got our work cut out ahead of us in this upcoming window. I think we got a lot of work to do. I think it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be very fun to cover on the channel here, obviously. And hopefully we can have a very good summer and a very productive summer at that there. Matata says, what's left for us now is to see Rashi sauce after Saka sauce. Bart says, Skamaka will be a good striker signing. Don't go by his time at West Ham. Yeah, man, I've been saying about Skamaka for a while to my friends. Everybody kind of looks at me go like, yeah, but he flopped at West Ham. But the problem with that was David Moyes seen a 6'5" striker and thought, this is the second coming of Marwan Fellaini. You're not using him to the fullest of his abilities if you're not feeding him the ball, letting him bring others into play, let him link up with players. He's not just someone to inflict on headers for Jared Bowen running in behind, or for your wide players running in behind. He's not that type of player. He is good. He definitely could be an upside signing. I don't know if Atalanta would be happy with us taking strikers off them in consecutive years, but I've heard worse ideas than Gianluca Scamacca. He would probably come in. He's a different profile to Højlund. He's more experienced than Højlund, and he could definitely lead the line as well. Am I scheduled to appear on the agenda on Wednesday? Yeah, I said up to Bath Time about doing the reaction with those guys after the Sheffield match. Hopefully, we can get an actual win in that match. I don't know, though. Matata's looking Stephanie and Lucky Singh in the comments. Yeah, look, it's one of those there ones. We've been a little bit inactive in recent weeks. Rajat said Scamacca knocked the loser out of UEL. I mean, Scamacca's a good player, man. He always is, and always has been. Like, and he's still good for Italy. Still plays at a high level, and he scored goals this season for Atalanta. I'm not too sure what his numbers are overall, but from a profile point of view, from a potential price point of view, I mean, there's worse ideas out there than Gianluca Scamacca. It's an interesting one anyway, because when did I'm trying to say this here, guys, when did Bologna play Roma? Because I can see they beat them 3-1, which is massive in terms of Champions League qualification for Bologna, but I'll have to go and maybe watch that there one back. Bath Time says, my finished Baldur gets 3. I haven't played it in a couple of days, man. Actually, I'm still at the Elder Brain anyway. Let me see. But yeah, guys, I mean, Scamacca's an interesting potential signing there. I think he's got goals this season. 25 years old. Again, not that old. What has he got? He's got 9 goals in 13 league starts. It's not too bad. I mean, as a potential different option, he could be a good one. Rajat's asking about Ruben Amorim. I like Amorim. I'm not too sure what's happening with him at the minute, because all the talk initially was Liverpool, and now it looks like he could be on his way to West Ham. So I really don't know. I've got Bart saying, why does United buy so many people with Liverpool, Man City, Leeds on their CV, like Jason Wilcox? Nevertheless, I hope former Leeds and City coaches do well. Hunt as King Kenny Proud. I mean, Wilcox will be coming in as our technical director. His job's going to be to link the club together, and then in years to come, it'll be to link United to Nice and to the Swiss club that INEOS own, and try to establish something of a multi-club system, which for the game overall isn't the best thing. Like, it really isn't in terms of what we got in terms for United. Yeah, it's probably a good thing for us, but it's one of those, it's the way football's going. Rashad said, go get Raspadori. Where's Raspadori even playing for now, man? Was he at Udinese for a while? Bart said Amorim will cost 40 million. United don't have that kind of money to spend. I think we have to spend something like 10 million to get Ten Hag out of the club potentially, and that's what they were saying as well. Is that if we went and got Ashworth and De Zerbi and kicked out Ten Hag, then you're talking 45-50 million pounds just for that there, for those moves alone, which is a lot as well. Let me quickly pull this up. There was something I was looking for. Who was it? It was Raspadori, that's it. Who is he playing for? Was he at Udinese, or is it Napoli now? No, he's at Napoli now, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Rajat said, are we getting Sam Gio? I'm not too sure, buddy. Bad Time said, oh, have you covered this? Wilcox is going to be attending training for the next few weeks. Yeah, I've had a little look at this. Basically, they're calling it the trial of Ten Hag, and it's kind of looking like that as well. I mean, I had a couple of friends call him Erik Ten Games as well to me, obviously from the Liverpool point of view. But that's not a good sign. Like, he will be conducting a deep audit, and that seems to be something that INEOS are really keen on. We know that Dave Brailsford's been conducting a big audit into United as well, behind the scenes. Obviously, it looks like that's going to be happening at training now. With Jason Wilcox, he will be heavily involved, new technical director, and he's going to be a man with a lot of say in this upcoming next 6 to 12 months, really until Ashworth comes in. Then his job might slightly change, but at the minute, I do think it will be Beretta. I do think it will be Wilcox as well. Look, there's potential talk about us getting Sam Williams in as well from Ipswich to be the head of emerging talent. So obviously looking for young players to bring in to both academy and to the first team as well. So he might have something of a there. You imagine Jean-Claude Blanc might have something of a United hierarchy. I don't know. I just can't see him, man. About time is done there. We got an extra mil from Sancho's loan. The irony of that used to sack Ten Hag is delicious. Muhin is there. Roberto De Zerbi is a nice option. He will be an option for sure, man. I don't think there will be a chance for Zidane. I think there might be interest from Zidane now at this point, but I think we're going to go a different way. I think we'll take a look at it from the point of view that Zidane, whilst he has a fantastic resume, a fantastic CV in terms of winning trophies, what he doesn't have is experience at a club that is in a position of where Manchester United find themselves in. He doesn't have experience of a club that's finishing 7th or 8th in the league, that's maybe going to finish with a minus goal difference, that might finish with their worst ever points tally. The Real Madrid teams he took over needed garnishing, they needed a bit of revitalising, and they needed some inspiration, and that's what they got from Zidane. Whether or not he could walk into United now and have the same kind of effect, I don't know. Rosada's down there. Jadon potentially going to win Champions League with Dortmund, sitting with European competition. Bart said, have you ever met or heard two United fans have the same opinion on who to sign, who to sell, and who to manage? I haven't, and no matter what Radcliffe does, he will feel in many eyes. He will, yeah. People have set him up to fail already, and people won't be happy. You will get different fan channels out there happy Ten Hag's going to get sacked, or annoyed Ten Hag's going to get sacked for whatever reason. It's just one of those there ones, man. Bart said, have you ever met two Skyrim fans that can agree the Stormcloaks did nothing wrong? No, man, because Stormcloaks did a lot wrong. A shady organisation, for sure, honestly. I don't know, neither side of the Civil War in Skyrim are particularly good. One of those, I think the only thing Skyrim players can agree on is that Stealth Archer is just the meta. What is Bart saying? What's the odds United will send some of the under-18 startups next summer or winter to balance the books? I mean, I hope we can sell some of them. There are players in the club who we could move on, and teams like City do go out there, get good loans for their players and sell them for a lot of profit. We could be doing the same. I'm not saying go out there and sell Copy Manu, but I'm saying, you could potentially look at selling your Zidane Iqbals, your Charlie Savages for more than £1 million. Just instead of getting pittance for them, at least get something off a fee for these players. That should be something we're doing. Bath Time still saying Stormcloaks did nothing wrong. We'll just ignore the racism and xenophobia. Bath Time says Ranić favourite to place Tuchel at Bayern Munich. I don't know, man. I can see it just being. I can see them going down and getting someone. I don't know if it's going to be Ralph Ranić though. Rajat said, "Get Ralph. He's world class at getting recruiting done." I don't know, man. Been there, done that. Midden said we need Zidane for 3 seasons. Look, if you're going to bring Zidane in, maybe in 3 seasons it's the time to do it. If you got a team that's capable of going to win something, but you need that manager to get it done, maybe that's when you bring someone in. But I don't think you get Zidane in for a rebuild whatsoever, and we have to be realistic about it. As much as we might be back able to compete for big trophies in 2 or 3 years' time, there's no guarantee of it, and we could be stuck in the wilderness for a long time yet. Pat Time said, "Go and post the Stormcloaks did nothing wrong. The Skyrim summer it'll be the greatest troll ever." That would be a funny one, to be fair. That would be a funny one. Just post that there and just say that Morthal's your favourite hold as well. That'll get people going. Massimiliano Allegri is nice. I mean, look, he might be on a short list somewhere. I don't think he's going to be our guy, though. I think he looks pretty tired at Juventus, and I can see them going down the Motta route, to be honest. And that's why, as much as I would like to see Thiago Motta as our manager, I don't think it's going to be him either. Bath Time, if it's not proof enough, then we need to shut down every fan challenge. Oh, we're talking proper Skyrim now. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Anyway, look, guys, I think we'll leave the stream here for tonight. I should be on again tomorrow. It might be slightly later because by the time I get back from work, it might be 7:30 or so. And then, of course, we'll be there for the Watch Along Wednesday and then Thursday, Friday as well. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, it's going to be a big week. Hopefully, it's going to be a better week for United. I mean, I know we're not going to go anywhere this season, but just getting some wins would be nice. And we play Sheffield and we play Burnley this week, so surely we've got to beat them. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it, and I'll catch everyone in the next one.